Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dave, and we're the IB English guys. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics. We're going to talk about figurative language and how to unpack and analyze and explore figurative language.
Yeah, of course, folks. Figurative language, these are descriptive words or phrases or sentences that convey a message without directly saying it. These are the words and phrases that kind of give life to our language. They make it interesting, they make it enjoyable, they make it fun to listen to.
Yeah, it's creative wording that builds imagery, deepens our understanding of something. And oftentimes it's comparing two different things that are unlike, but it's making us see those things in a richer way.
Yeah, we find this in many of our assessment texts, and we think this is where you make your money as students. So today is all about how to analyze deeply, provide insight, and explore some implications.
Yeah. Figurative language is an umbrella term. It's like a family. And these figurative techniques are many, and many of them you already know. You've been studying them for many years. So we're thinking about this family of figurative techniques, such as metaphor, simile, symbol, personification.
Yeah, there's so many great techniques. You can see them on this table. There are others. It's really important, we believe, that you have these words under control because you can really do some serious unpacking of language and really show some impressive knowledge and insight by understanding how these terms work.
Yeah, because the authors are using these figurative techniques to convey a message and get us to really engage our brains and to see things and see the world in more clear terms.
Yeah, the point is when you're doing your writing about these texts, when you see some figurative language, it might be a good idea to linger there just a little bit longer in your writing, do some unpacking, and really emphasize how these authorial choices are shaping meaning for the intended audience. Mr. Jaws, what do you say we look at some samples and unpack some figurative language?
Yeah, that's great. So the first example comes from poetry, and this is just an example of where a writer is thinking about a metaphor in more detail. And again, a metaphor is that implied comparison. We're going to look at the famous poem by Seamus Heaney, Digging.
You love this one, don't you?
I do. And this is a metaphor where he compares the act of digging on the farm with the digging that he does with his pen and exploring memory and writing. So he's drawing that rich comparison. Let's see what the student wrote. Why don't you read it aloud?
Sure. In Seamus Heaney's poem Digging, Heaney uses an extended metaphor comparing the digging his father and grandfather did as potato farmers with the metaphorical digging the speaker does with his pen as a poet. In the last lines of the poem, Heaney writes, "Between my fingers and my thumb, the squat pen rests, I'll dig with it." This rich metaphor, here's the unpacking. This rich metaphor helps the reader see the connection between the speaker's farming heritage and his passion for poetry and writing. The act of digging conveys a sense of depth and exploration and unearthing of something. It also implies effort. The implications are that by writing poetry, the speaker can unearth memories and even honor his heritage and show his respect from where he comes from. The pen then acts as his tool, much like the shovel is a tool for his father to dig. Giles, that is impressive. Let's talk about what the writer's done here.
Yeah, they're thinking about, again, they're clearly articulating what the extended metaphor is. I always like, when you talk about a metaphor, make sure you're identifying what is A and what is B. What are the two things being compared?
Indeed, do not forget that step, right? And we also notice that this writer is not talking about the metaphor itself, but he or she is discussing how the poet, how the speaker is using the metaphor to shape meaning. And I think that's very different.
Yeah, that's great. And again, note, I like the way the writer talked about that the farming heritage and the passion for poetry. I love the word passion for poetry. You know that speaker is passionate about writing and poetry.
Yeah, we also like to say to our students that sometimes you build criterion A and B simultaneously. So while this person is analyzing and evaluating, they're also looking at implications, and we see that underlined twice. So this is a pretty clever writer who's analyzing and interpreting simultaneously.
Yeah. Lastly, they bring up the pen. And again, part of digging, in the farm, we use a shovel, but then we're comparing the pen with the shovel. Again, this is all part of the metaphor. We see a lot of thinking going on here.
Yeah, this is a strong paragraph. Let's look at another one, Mr. Giles. Let's look at the God of Small Things in the red flag.
Okay, there's a scene in this novel where a red flag is being used to obviously to denote communism and during a communist march. And it's a powerful moment. This is what the student wrote. The communist red flag is a symbol of political upheaval in India and also represents baby Kochama's shame. On the way to Cochin, they are stopped by the Marxist march, where Rahel recognizes and points out Velutha, who's participating. As the sky blue Plymouth is stopped in traffic, the Marxist protesters approach the car with the flag, give it to baby Kochama, and force her to wave it. When the communist man forces her to wave the flag, the crowd roared with laughter, and baby Kochama wobbles in fear and grabs her rosary. Roy emphasizes the tense atmosphere and contrast between the roar of the crowd and the weakness of baby Kochama. As a petty bourgeois capitalist, baby Kochama sees Marxism as a threat to her way of life. The red flag symbolizes this threat and in many ways is a warning, almost a flashing red light. In the face of protesters, baby Kachama is unable to salvage some dignity and is forced to subjugate herself to the wishes of the protesters. The color red can signify danger, shame, and even anger, all emotions that baby Kachama feels. It is clear that to readers that this flag incident will linger in baby Kachama's mind, which foreshadows later events.
Mr. Giles, this is a pretty good body paragraph. I see a lot of great things going on. Now, it's interesting that we're exploring figurative language. We're looking at symbols, but this clever writer has also layered other authorial choices into their writing, which really will score a lot of points in Criterion B in terms of identifying authorial choices. What are some things you noticed about this paragraph?
Well, I noticed that the symbol of the red flag is actually a symbol that's quite rich, so it means many different things. Of course, it shows the political upheaval, but it also, I like how the writer is saying how it's also representative of baby Kachama's shame. It's multiple interpretations.
Yeah, I like that as well. Now, folks, I also noticed in this paragraph that quite a bit of context is loaded up in the beginning and then the figurative language is unpacked at the end. If I were to advise this writer, I might tell them to maybe lessen a bit of that context and just kind of anchor the reader in the moment, but then get to the analysis. But this, again, is a really strong piece of writing.
Yeah, I like the word threat, warning, shame, anger. And danger. These are very, again, clear ideas that connect to that symbol. Okay, the last example is from Hamlet.
Yeah,
okay? One of our friend's favorite plays that he loves.
Yeah, Connor Duffy, this one's for you, pal. Okay, let's unpack an allusion this time, okay?
Okay, what is an allusion?
An allusion, Mr. Giles, is a reference to a famous person, place, or thing. It's something that we can assume the audience has extensive background knowledge with and can connect easily when they hear this word being introduced in a work.
That's right. It's drawing that comparison between something outside the text, and allusions are very rich, fun to talk about. I love allusions.
You want me to take it?
Yes, I do.
All right. Shakespeare uses a rich allusion to Greek and Roman mythology to show Hamlet's contempt for his uncle Claudius and his adoration of his dead father. In his first soliloquy, Hamlet remarks, "So excellent a king that was to this, Hyperion to a satyr." This allusion to Hyperion compares his father with the sun god, thus elevating his status and showing his love and respect for his father. This reference to the sun could also connect to the chain of being and puts his father at the top of this chain, a deity. Furthermore, Claudius is compared to a satyr, another allusion to the mythical beast, a goat-like creature associated with lust. This allusion helps to show how Claudius is a vile character who was guided by sin and lust and committed fratricide. By using these allusions to Greek and Roman mythology, Shakespeare thus connects with his audience and conveys the stark contrast between King Hamlet and Claudius and shows young Hamlet's true feelings.
Okay.
Not bad, Giles. Let's tear apart this illusion and talk about what we noticed.
Yeah, again, we've got the clear reference in the line where we see those clear references to Greek mythology. Again, I like how Shakespeare is in the driver's seat in several of these sentences, and where the writer and the student is thinking about that. Again, thinking about what the sun god means and connecting that to Hamlet's feelings about his father.
Yeah, I think the writer is definitely lingering on this figurative device, this figurative language. They're looking at the illusion. They're looking at multiple interpretations. It could also mean, it could mean. So they're spending some time with figurative language because, as we said earlier, we believe this is where students make their money.
Yeah, and I see the student lingering in this sentence here. This reference to the sun could also connect to the chain of being. That's a lingering moment.
Multiple interpretations, Mr. Giles. The student is lingering.
Could have taken that out, but put it in there. Okay, what do we want to think about when we take a figurative technique? Try to stretch yourself to not just write one sentence of analysis about it. When you're looking at a metaphor, linger, stop, think, and expand your ideas.
Keep expanding those ideas, folks. Keep on unpacking that figurative language, and we think you'll earn the points that you covet and desire and deserve. So keep on staying with the channel, keep on following our advice and the advice of your teachers, and we'll see you next time on the channel. Thanks for watching, and take care.
Thanks, guys.